Hello, hello, hello. Today I'm going to be talking about the Northern Lights. So I live in the UK and the chances of us seeing the Northern Lights in this country are relatively small, if not non-existent. They're so non-existent that we don't even look for them, like it never happens. Once I understood that the Northern Lights were real, because I think as a kid I just thought it was this mythical thing or some type of art that people created, once I understood they were real, I have wanted to see them for a long time. I've always been in awe of space and galaxies, and when I was a kid and into my teens and actually into my 20s, I had various paintings and artworks and photographs of that stuff on my walls. Most of that stuff came from National Geographics. I'll see if I can find some footage, but here's just some of the stuff that I've had on my walls, and some of it's now in photo frames. It's just been something I've been amazed by. Haven't really spoken about, but in my brain it's been there. So as I said, for a long time I've wanted to see them, but also inside my brain they're such a special thing that I've wanted to save it. For not necessarily a special occasion, because you can't plan them, but I've wanted to do it with a partner. As I'm getting older, that seems a bit silly to think of it like that, but yes, as a younger person I've been wanting to share that moment. Like, you hear so many people having romantic getaways with the Northern Lights, and I've just wanted that. I'm just trying to vamp up how much it's meant for me inside my brain, like how excited I've been about them, and I've never actually seen them. And that changed this year. So earlier this year, I think it was May, the country I'm in, we were told that we were going to be able to see them for the first time. Like, the chances were very high. I've known a few people that have been Northern Light watching before. I remember a couple of years ago I was at my partner's mum's, and her lodger, she had this app and she was all excited because the potential of seeing them was high that evening, and she went out and did get a photo, and it was of her sort of doing like a yoga pose and some sort of green above her. Not quite like what I was expecting, but she did see something, so I knew it was possible, but I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. So yes, we saw the Northern Lights. This is probably old news, you guys all know this. I'm talking about something that happened months and months and months ago, but yeah, we saw them! So at the time we were supposed to start seeing them, I took this photo, and when I took it, I could also see the sky and that there wasn't really much going on, and I wasn't really sure what to look for.
I can't see anything with my eyes.
And I was a bit sad because there wasn't really much there. I know, but it's the first time I'm experiencing this. About an hour later, somebody that I know was saying, look out the window, that they're starting to pick up, and if you take photos, the photos will show it up better than the naked eye. So they put their photo up and showed the green, and I thought to myself, I'm gonna go back and look at my photo, and yes, you can see there's a smidge of green in that photo. So they were there, I just didn't see them. So then I thought, okay, here we go. I have no idea what's coming, but let's get ready. I got all my cameras out that I had at the time, because a lot of my stuff was still at the flat back then, so I didn't have everything to hand, like my tripod. But I got ready, I camped out, I took a ton of photos up in the loft, and I was overwhelmed just by a smidge of green. Like, it's not as sharp as you're probably expecting, but even that was amazing. Like, I'd never seen that before. But there was a specific moment when I turned to the left and I could see pink. Now, the green was incredible, but the pink... I'm a big pink fan, but it was lines in the sky, like actual lines, not just a haze, lines. Then of course I got super excited and ran outside to sort of tell everybody that they were in the sky. I texted everybody I could think of. I was standing outside the house looking around, and in different places there were different lines and colours, and I wasn't expecting that either. It wasn't just in one place. Like, the lines were over there and they were moving, so in the time it took me to take my photos and move things around a bit, they'd moved. I didn't know they moved like that. I'm coming across like a kid, but this excitement is genuine inside my brain. Like, this was amazing. It's still amazing. I did try taking some long exposure photos with my DSLR. I definitely feel as though my iPhone camera would have been the best one to have used to have captured the colours. I think it looks more muted in my photos, but I guess actually my photos are more realistic from what you could actually see. When everybody was posting on Facebook what they were seeing, everyone's photos just show such a dramatic sky that didn't exist. The cameras make it better. The photos are just stunning, but that's not what we could see. It's not that people are lying with their photos, because like with my iPhone I just click, boom, tish, done. No settings, nothing, just that's what it does, and it creates it for you, so I haven't asked it to do stuff, but it's definitely more dramatic than it actually has been in real life, tons of those photos that you've probably seen. I was also out of practice. It had been a long time since I'd picked up my DSLR, so wasn't prepared. And lastly, I didn't have a tripod, so I was using my DSLR with everything that I could find. I think in the loft I was using some of my sister's boxes to try and balance it in a really precarious place by the windows. I got so excited. I mean, there was a point when I was just taking tons of photos, possibly to clone, but just overwhelmed with happiness in the garden. There was a point where I was trying to capture something that was happening above the house when you were looking in the garden upwards. Didn't quite come out, but as for what I was doing, I put the camera with a timer in the garden pointing up, and it had a 10-second delay before it started the long exposure. So in the 10 seconds I had to run from the garden to this room. That's one flight of stairs, but that's still a long way to go in 10 seconds. And then I would stand at the window to try and get in the shot, and here are a few of those. I look a bit like a ghost. That's what happens with long exposure. But here's me running and just happy. I look such a mess, but the happiness I was feeling at the time. Something that shocked me the first time around was how I could almost see perspective. It wasn't 2D, like it was a 4-dimensional thing that I was within. Like the lines went through, the lines went, like I just felt like I was in the sky. Like if you laid down and looked up, the perspective was there. It wasn't over there in these little lines. Oh, that's pretty. It was like, oh my gosh, they're there. Hello, Millie. There was a specific moment in the garden where I looked up and I went. And it was pink too. I am also autistic, and so I was just stimming all over the place. I was bouncing around with joy. Like even in this video, my arms are just doing this. It's like I'm about to take off. Like the level of happiness was...
There. Yes!
It was just such a magical evening. Like it was a once in a lifetime type of night.
This is me right now in peak happiness.
The joy. And then the next morning I woke up and I was shattered and went to Lee Valley and did all this. It was just the perfect night and such a wonderful, glorious, astounding experience. And then I closed the chapter on that and sort of moved on. Like, I don't need to go abroad now. I do want to go abroad and see them. It's not a case of, right, done, dusted, tick it off the bucket list. I still want to go abroad. But the fact is I have now seen them. So that's now ticked off my bucket list. And I've seen them from, technically, my home, my parents' home. I've seen them from here. I've seen them from our own windows. Like, how amazing that is. The night after, there was a chance to see them again, but it wasn't as good, and myself and many people did go out. We did go out to see them for the second time. There was absolutely nothing, but it was an experience just to be out there with all these people in the pitch black looking up at the sky. Like, I've lived here on and off for how many years now? 25 years? And I don't think I've been there at night like that. It was amazing. There was no Northern Lights, but it was still a good experience. But the door then closed and we moved on with our lives. So that was May. And as I film this, it is October. And in October, apparently there was another chance to see them. And again, like, Again, I was not prepared this time because I didn't know it was happening. I was just scrolling on TikTok and someone said, if you live in the UK, da-da-da-da-da. And then I looked at the comments and people were like, oh, we can see them here and here and here. And the comments were now as I was looking. So I thought, I took a photo again and I couldn't see that much. And then I went up to the loft again and started, like, it was just the same again. But this time I had my sister. My sister wasn't here when it happened the first time around. So I got my sister involved and we were looking out together and she was taking photos from one window and me from the other. The first time I saw them, I didn't really leave the area. I stayed put. I had wanted to go out, but my mum wasn't as mobile back then and it was very cold and I wasn't prepared, etc. Like the battery on the camera was quite low. So this time, the second time it happened, I wanted to leave. I wanted to go somewhere. So once my sister and I established it was actually happening and there was stuff happening in the sky, this is a photo my sister took of me, and just after she took this, I turned around and I said to her, that's it, we're off, get ready, we're going. So I went back in and put some proper clothes on. We went to somewhere where there's a park and there's not so many lights, and we didn't actually get that far because we bumped into a lady and spent time talking with her and taking photos of her actually because she didn't have anyone there to share the moment with. But we just stood there and everywhere you looked was colour. So much pink. My sister took these photos of myself, and just to stress, it didn't look like that in real life. It was more muted. The photos are stunning. I love them. But it wasn't that bright. But still, you know, it's the idea. But yeah, we stood there, took loads of photos. It wasn't as strong as May. Like, you could still see them with your own eyes. You could see them. You didn't have to take photos in order to see what was going on in the sky. You could see it. But not as strong as May. After some time, my mum and I then went off on our own. We went into the depths of the park by the sea, and by that point it had calmed down a bit. You could still see the green haze along the seaside. No sharp lines, but it was definitely green. Green, and then it went up to pink and purple. I was just taking photos of everything because as it calmed down, it became harder to see with my own eyes, but my camera was telling me, the photos I was taking, that there were northern lights in places, even if I couldn't see them. Can't see anything, but I promise you they are here. I did take some photos with my DSLR this time, but I focused more on my iPhone. The photo quality isn't as high, but I think the photos look prettier. Just because a photo has better quality doesn't mean it's better. Some of the best memories can be blurred. But yeah, I came home feeling, ow, bit my tongue, ecstatic. Even now I'm bouncing off the ceiling, like we got to see them again. So something that was a once in a lifetime experience became a twice in a lifetime experience. I just feel unbelievably lucky that I've got to see them in my lifetime. In any capacity. Like, they're not what you're probably thinking of when you go abroad to some really special places to see them, but they are them regardless. I've got to see them. I've got to see them more than once. I've got to see them from my home. I've got to see them with people that I love. Not necessarily a romantic partner, but family. It's amazing. I just wanted to sit and just talk about it because it was something so lovely. Like, I'm so happy. And that's it. That was just my experience of the Northern Lights. Oreo Borala, I can't even say it. Oriella Borala. Yeah, that stuff. I can die happy knowing that I've seen them. I still want to go and see them elsewhere, but I have seen them. So that's my vlog for today. I don't know what people will comment on in regards to this, but if you have seen them, yes. If you haven't, they will come around again. Not necessarily where we are, but they're always going off somewhere. My hair has got bigger and bigger as I've been doing this. Just